Well, artificial intelligence and robots are becoming part of our everyday lives, but how much do we want to hand over to machines? And should morals and ethics be programmed into artificial intelligence systems?
It's a question often explored by film and television. Take a look at this, for example.
You're a machine.
I'm a boy.
Impossible.
Replicants are like any other machine. They're either a benefit or a hazard.
It is a household appliance, and yet you act like it is a man.
The 9000 series is the most reliable computer ever made. We are all foolproof and incapable of error.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
You were built to gratify the desires of the people who pay to visit your world.
So our creatures have been misbehaving.
Dr. Lanning suggested robots might naturally evolve.
I was hoping to see you again, Detective. Think of me as your friend.
Why didn't you just hand the world over on a silver platter?
Maybe we did.
I'll be back.
I'll be back, and he did come back, didn't he? Well, designing Australian values into artificial intelligence systems is the focus of a new research project launched at the Australian National University. The Humanising Machine Intelligence Project brings together philosophers, social scientists and computer science experts to design AI that represents and promotes Australian values.
What exactly does that mean? Joining us to help us think about these difficult questions is the futurist Anders Sohlman-Nielsen. Anders, thanks for being here. What does it mean for a machine to be moral?
Well, increasingly, of course, there are questions that we can't even solve as humans, such as the trolley problem, for example, which is an old school philosophical problem. In other words, if you are controlling where a trolley goes in a mine and you know that they kind of turn left or it can turn right, for example, you have the choice to go left or right. Do you choose to go down the path where there's 5 innocents that are going to die? Or is it going to go down the path where only one person is going to die? That is a big moral question that cross-culturally we haven't even really solved, right, as humans, but increasingly now computers have to make that choice. You might also add another layer of complexity to that to ask yourself the question, if that one person that you might take out in a sort of utilitarian fashion, you know, what if that was your partner or your son or daughter, for example?
And just to clarify the problem of the trolley problem, because a lot of people will hear that and think, well, of course you take out one person instead of 5. If the trolley is going towards the 5 people, the question is, do you intervene in order to switch it over to the 1? So the whole question of agency comes into effect. Like, are you somehow culpable, morally responsible for the death of the 1? And is that worse than simply tolerating the death of the 5 that you didn't play any role in? So talk to us about, I mean, the obvious analogy here would be that self-driving cars, right, autonomous vehicles. What are the moral challenges there where companies are trying to figure out, how do I privilege the driver and owner of the car over people outside the car if it had to make a complex moral decision like, for example, swerving to avoid a bunch of pedestrians in a way that might crash the car?
Well, we were recently working with Daimler in Singapore, so the Daimler Group automotive companies, right? So the question is, even cross-culturally, right, in different parts of the world, our sense of morals are quite different, right? And this is another problem. So say, for example, you go to China and you're thinking about renting a car for your holiday, and you know that the AI and the automotive manufacturers in China, for example, they privilege or prioritize in their coding of the vehicle their own citizens, or potentially people of a particular majority as opposed to a particular minority. Would you be comfortable to go to a Hertz or an Avis to actually rent a car in that place? So in Germany, what we found is a consortium of automotive manufacturers have now actually agreed on some certain guidelines when it comes to the coding of these vehicles and coding ethics into them. A little bit similar to sort of iRobots and Isaac Asimov's rules when it comes to robotics, in terms of robots not having to or cannot harm humans, right?
So this is something that's being explored ahead of time, because we can't really afford to have a trial and error period. It seems like with, for example, social media, we've kind of learnt along the way. We can't really do that with AI because the stakes are a lot higher, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, humans always have this sort of distrust of technology. So in the United States today, 90% of all errors or all crashes on the roads are caused by human error. At the same time, you know, we don't wouldn't distrust getting into an Uber if the Uber driver has a good rating, right? But in fact, statistically speaking, the autonomous vehicles are much safer at the same time as humans. We sort of distrust them at the same time.
Yeah, do you think that that is going to be a problem, that we tolerate staggeringly high levels of fatalities, really, on our roads because we understand that humans are fallible? But the moment someone gets into an autonomous vehicle that doesn't have a driver and that thing goes haywire and crashes, our response to that viscerally will feel different than if there was a human involved.
Well, it makes for great headlines, doesn't it? And particularly as a laggard society, sometimes, you know, we choose to distrust and we choose not to make a trust leap into the future, even though statistically speaking, this is actually safer for us.
What about beyond self-driving cars and that sort of thing? Like we've seen in the movies, actual robots operating and perhaps serving us in certain ways. Could we see morals and ethics being programmed into those beings? And does that then open the door for them to have certain rights that humans might have? Or is that overstepping it a bit?
Yeah, I was recently in the Middle East, right, where robot Sophia, an artificially intelligent bot from Hanson Robotics, has now been given citizenship rights in Saudi Arabia. And I think this is kind of fascinating. She has more rights than certain women in Saudi Arabia, for example, which is also a bit of a philosophical conundrum. Again, I don't know if it was just a PR stunt by the Saudi Arabian government. But of course, we have sort of questions, the science fiction questions surrounding things like Westworld, for example. What are robots good for? And in Westworld, we see people, you know, having sex with, you know, these machines and thinking that they're somehow sentient, for example.
And they're so real.
They're so real, and people are taking advantage of it. And of course, it begs the question: what happens if, you know, there's ever runaway AI that actually breaks out of the box in the sort of ex machina sort of science fiction scenario? So,
pulling back a little bit from the extremes of the science fiction, because I suspect that it'll be a very long time before we have humanoid robots who we interact with as if they were actually people, a la Westworld or Ex Machina. But what about the possibility of systems that are inside computers that we communicate with, maybe just like an Alexa or a Siri type thing, which might speak to us as if they were human but not look as if they were human? How do we know at what point their sophistication becomes synonymous with, I suppose, consciousness? How do we know if the lights are on?
Exactly, and I think when the likes of Alexas actually started being installed in people's home, the question was, you know, you had to say the safe word for the technology even to switch on, because they said, you know, the technology is not listening to you and constantly monitoring every conversation. So you had to say Alexa or Amazon, for example, before the technology switches on. Of course, as a simple human being, I asked the question, if it's not listening, how can it even hear the safe word, so to speak? And this also beckons the question in terms of what kind of consumer technologies are we going to feel comfortable with, and what sort of almost like a fair trade or a sort of organic stamp or an ethical stamp on certain products. Will we have something similar in terms of consumer-based technologies where the likes of Amazon and the likes of Apple, for example, have to now have some kind of ethical stamp to make sure that they abide by certain guidelines?
What about the use of AI in business and industry, but also in the military, and the potential for morals and ethics to be programmed into AI that's being used in military battles?
And of course, in the United States, there's massive investments being made into this to, again, ask the question of how can we potentially weaponize AI, but also when can AI make a decision, again, in a weaponized fashion that's still going to actually be a moral one. Again, it beckons the question, we haven't solved these questions on a human level, and we see collateral damage, etc., from human warfare. But of course, increasingly now, robots might also make those decisions about life and death. So it is a science fiction world we're living in.
Brave new world. Anders, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anders.